candidates sit the CISSP exam on the same day. One finishes at 100 questions, the other is still going at 150. Both pass. How is that possible, and what does it mean for how you prepare?
This is the trap that derails more CISSP candidates than any content gap. They walk out after 100 questions convinced they failed because the exam stopped early and they are wrong.
The CISSP uses computer adaptive testing. The exam adjusts in real time based on your performance. That is why two people can have completely different experiences and both pass.
And here is what most people get wrong about the score. 700 out of 1,000 does not mean 70% of questions correct. That misconception changes how you should think about every single question.
By the end of this video, you will understand exactly how CAT works, what the passing score actually measures, and how this format should change your study strategy from day one. Here is who is with me today.
I'm Fane Riher. There is a twist in this story that caught me off guard.
I'm Nova. I love when the numbers tell a story people miss.
George here. I have seen how this kind of thing plays out, and it is something.
All right, let us jump in.
Let me back up and explain what linear testing looks like first. In a traditional exam, every candidate gets the same questions in the same order. Your score is simply how many you get right.
CAT works completely differently. The exam is pulling from a pool of questions calibrated at different difficulty levels. Every answer you give changes what question comes next.
Answer a question correctly, and the next one gets harder. The exam is constantly pushing to find the edge of your ability.
Answer incorrectly and the next question gets easier. The exam pulls back to find where your consistent competency actually sits, not where you guessed right.
The exam keeps adapting until it can determine with statistical confidence whether you are above or below the passing standard. That is when it stops, not when you hit a set number.
The minimum is 100 questions. The exam cannot statistically conclude anything before that. The maximum is 150. If it still cannot determine your ability level, you answer until the time limit.
The score of 700 out of 1,000 is not a percentage. It is a scaled score representing your demonstrated ability level relative to the passing standard set by CISSP.
Here is what that means in practice. Every question in the CAT pool has a known difficulty rating. The questions you answered correctly and at what difficulty level determine your ability score.
If the exam was consistently giving you hard questions and you were getting them right, your ability estimate climbs. That is worth more than getting easy questions right.
700 on the scale means the system determined your ability level is above the minimum competency standard. Nova, how does this change what early termination actually signals?
If the exam stops at 100 questions, it means the statistical model is already confident, either clearly above the standard, which is a pass, or clearly below it, which is a fail. Either way, it has enough data.
150 questions means the exam needed more data points to decide. It does not mean you did badly, it means your ability level was hovering near the boundary and the model needed more evidence.
There is one more thing embedded in the exam that most candidates do not account for: 25 unscored pretest questions. Stick with me. What Nova and the team cover here should change your exam day protocol.
CISSP embeds these throughout the exam to calibrate new questions for future use. They are randomly distributed across your question set.
The purpose is quality control on their question bank. CISSP needs real exam data to know if a new question is performing at the right difficulty level before it becomes a scored item.
And here is the trap: these pretest questions look completely identical to scored questions. There is no asterisk, no indicator, you will not know which ones they are.
Fenrir is right. The only rational strategy is to treat every single question as if it counts. Do not try to identify pretest questions. That is wasted mental energy on exam day.
So what does all of this mean for how you actually study? The first implication is depth over breadth. In a linear exam, you can compensate for a weak domain with a strong one. CAT does not let you do that.
CAT also has no review function. Once you answer a question, you cannot go back. George, this catches people who are used to flagging questions and revisiting them at the end.
Exactly, and because the model is tracking your performance across the whole exam, consistency matters more than a brilliant run on one domain. One bad stretch pulls your ability estimate down.
On timing, 3 hours divided across 150 questions gives you 72 seconds per question maximum. Most questions take less, but some scenario questions run long. Do not let one question eat your buffer.
Research on adaptive testing consistently shows that first instinct answers outperform changed answers. Make a decision and move forward. Second guessing under CAT conditions compounds anxiety.
Finally, mental stamina. 3 hours of adaptive, high-stakes questions with no ability to skip or review is genuinely exhausting. Train for it. Full practice exams under timed conditions, not just topic drills.
The mindset shift that changes everything on exam day. If you are getting hard questions, that is a good sign. The exam is giving you hard questions because it thinks you can handle them.
If you get a run of easier questions after a hard stretch, do not panic. The model is recalibrating, not penalizing you. Stay even and focused.
If the exam stops at 100 questions, walk out. Do not read into it mid-exam. The model has made a confident call. Your job was to answer every question to the best of your ability, and you did.
The process for every question is the same. Read it carefully, identify what it is actually asking, make your best decision, and move on. No ruminating, no going back, no counting questions.
Here is the anchor. CAT does not reward memorization or heroic performance on one topic. It rewards consistent, demonstrated competency across all 8 domains. That is what your study plan needs to build. Drop in the comments. What is the most confusing part of the CAT format for you right now? We read everyone, and your questions shape the next videos in this series.
Subscribe so you do not miss CISSP 0.3, the associative ISC squared pathway. If you are not yet at the 5-year experience mark, that video is specifically for you.
All right, quiz time. Let's find out what stuck. Think through each question carefully before you answer.
If this video is worth your time, a like and subscribe is worth 2 seconds of yours. We will see you in the next one.
What does it mean if the CISSP CAT exam stops at 100 questions? The correct answer is B. The system reached statistical confidence about your ability level.
What is the purpose of the 25 unscored pretest questions in the CISSP exam? The correct answer is C, to calibrate new questions for future exams.
In the CISSP CAT format, what happens when a candidate consistently answers questions correctly? The correct answer is C. The exam presents progressively harder questions.
Good work on the quiz. Here is the core of what we covered. The CISSP CAT is not a fixed exam. It adapts to your performance in real time, pulling from a pool of questions at different difficulty levels.
The exam stops between 100 and 150 questions, not based on your score but based on statistical confidence. Early termination is not punishment, it is the model doing its job.
700 out of 1,000 is a scaled ability score, not a percentage of correct answers. Harder questions answered correctly carry more weight than easy ones.
The 25 unscored pretest questions are invisible. Treat every question as if it counts, do not go back, and commit to your first instinct. That is the exam day protocol.
Watch the next video in this series, CISSP. 0.3 covers the associate of ISC squared pathway. If you are not yet at the 5-year experience mark, that video is built specifically for you.
Subscribe so you do not miss it. Every video in Block 0 builds the foundation before you touch a single domain. Keep going.
Thank you for watching. Professor Erica signing off.